Buffalo Bills signed Curtis Samuel and Mack Hollins, two different skill set wide receivers coming here for the 2024 Buffalo Bills. You can take a look at Mack Hollins, who is literally 6'4". We've been talking about finding a jump ball situational type wide receiver. Obviously that playoff game with Stefon Diggs, Josh Allen throwing the ball deep and up. And that's really not Stefon Diggs' skill set. Being able, those 50-50 jump balls, high point the ball, body guys out. Mack Hollins is definitely going to bring that to Bills Mafia for this upcoming season. Listening to other NFL analysts, they say he's a willing blocker. He's a strong physical style support in the running game. And that's something that we had with Trent Sherfield last year. We all know Trent Sherfield is now signed with the Minnesota Vikings. Mack Hollins is definitely going to bring a different skill set here to Buffalo. And in my previous videos, we've been discussing Justin Shorter, who's also on this roster at 6'4", another tall, physical type wide receiver. And I think Mack Hollins, Justin Shorter, they are going to be competing at that situational type wide receiver, that jump ball type, tall, physical skill set. Now, I like the veteran presence that both these wide receivers have, to include Curtis Samuel. Curtis Samuel starting his career all the way back in 2017 with the Carolina Panthers. He's been in the league for a little bit, has a lot of talent. He's 5'11". He's definitely a little bit different of a skill set, somewhat a shiftier type, playing on the outside, could play in the slot, back up Khalil Shakir, mix in with Khalil Shakir in the middle of the field, but also bump on the outside. And really looking at this, you look at some of the players in the McDermott and Brandon Beane era that we've tried to do this with. And first and foremost, it was kind of a rotation with Gabe Davis and Emmanuel Sanders going way back. And that's really when we saw Gabe Davis have his best production, when he was working in a rotation with a skill set type player like Emmanuel Sanders. Now you look at also Jamison Crowder, who the Buffalo Bills brought in, but unfortunately got hurt. I believe it was only week 2 or week 3 in the season, and we were anticipating him to be kind of that mix in the slot on the outside, that Emmanuel Sanders to maybe rotate in there on the outside and in the slot too as well. You really look at some of the other deficiencies that the Buffalo Bills have had, and yes, Khalil Shakir did very well in the slot position. Dalton Kincaid did very well as a tight end in the slot position, but we're still kind of missing, I think, a quicker, agile, shifty type route runner like that Cole Beasley type. Khalil Shakir is definitely there, but I think he lacks just overall explosiveness when it comes to like acceleration, shiftiness, and top-notch speed. Now, Shakir understands the game awfully well. He's got the stickiest hands potentially on this team right now. Does not drop a freaking ball. And I think Khalil Shakir, he's a great route runner and does pretty much everything very, very well, especially like intermediate routes. When it comes to like extremely, extremely short route tree, right off the line of scrimmage, it's like what we saw from like Stevie Johnson, right? That basketball break step, right? And I think Cole Beasley definitely had that. And I think bringing in a guy like Curtis Samuel is definitely going to present that for the Buffalo Bills, especially out of the slot position. And really thinking about it, right? Gabe Davis goes to the Jacksonville Jaguars for an absurd amount of money. And you look at the total stats, right? Gabe Davis, 7 total touchdowns last year, around 750 receiving yards. And then you look at a guy like Curtis Samuel, who the Bills also spent pretty decent amount on, $24 million, but obviously presenting a little bit of a different skill set. He's got that versatility, as I mentioned, playing on the outside and playing in the slot. And I really think looking at it stat-wise, Curtis Samuel last year played 16 games. He had about 650 receiving yards, and I believe it was 3 receiving touchdowns. So a little bit different, right? A little bit different. And keep in mind that Curtis Samuel was on the Commanders It didn't have Josh Allen. They didn't have Joe Brady's offense and what we do here, passing the football like absolutely crazy. Clearly, I think the stats for Curtis Samuel are going to go up. They're going to be a lot better than what they were. And you even consider some of the other pieces surrounding him. This is just an overall better offense that the Buffalo Bills have than the Commanders did last year. I mean, Stephon Diggs, Kincaid, Dawson Knox, Khalil Shakir, Josh Allen, clearly the best quarterback in the freaking NFL, definitely going to help out Curtis Samuel. We also have other players here like Deontay Hardy, right? And another free agent wide receiver I was eyeing up was Michael Thomas because of the history he has with our new passing game coordinator here in Buffalo, spent all that time with the New Orleans Saints. So understanding that Hardy had the best season of his career back in the New Orleans Saints, I think this coach is definitely going to get the most out of Deontay Hardy, potentially get the most out of Curtis Samuel. Hardy at 5'5", 5'6", a lot smaller, but Curtis Samuel a little bit smaller, Khalil Shakir a little bit smaller. I think he just has a knack for setting up these smaller wide receivers, especially in the NFL, how to get them open, get them in space to make yards after catch, right? You could do yards after catch, but you could also run down the field for big-time explosive type plays. And I think Mack Hollins is definitely a huge addition at 6'4", offering a unique skill set. I mean, Gabe Davis was like 6'1", 6'2". We really haven't implemented a tall, physical style wide receiver with this much experience in the NFL. You look back at some of the other wide receivers, even Trent Sherfield was like 6'1". I mean, you got to go way back to like Duke Williams, and Duke Williams had like no experience, or Kelvin Benjamin, right? To get a tall, long style jump ball, 50-50 ball type wide receiver on this Buffalo Bills team. So Mack Hollins, Curtis Samuel coming here to the Buffalo Bills, Brandon Beane doing his thing here, restructuring a contract of Josh Allen, deciding to part ways with Trey White, Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, bringing back Cam Lewis, also Taylor Rapp. There's some additional moves here too. David Edwards coming back, A.J. Epinesa coming back, moving on from Mitch Morris. I mean, a ton of moves have been made for the Buffalo Bills to be able to kind of reshape things for the 2024 season and beyond. So in Beane, we trust. Brandon Beane does it again, Bills Mafia. Absolutely huge. But drop your comments down below. I want to hear from you. If you want to support my efforts for creating videos, make sure you hit like, subscribe for future content. Going to be breaking down so much stuff in the future on this channel. Also, check out the link below to Course Careers. You could receive $50 off or start any of their free introduction courses. They have a digital advertising course. They have tech sales. I mean, sales is definitely a very important thing to learn. And you can work fully remote once you get certified at any of their courses. Appreciate you. Hit like, subscribe, and go Bills.